What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is pulling back slightly, down 3.08%, 453 the low, 461 the high, and 12 million shares being traded within the first about 1 hour of the trading day. So today is going to be a little bit on the low end for volume, but today there hasn't been any official news from NIO, so no SEC filings, no press releases. Next thing is going to be their monthly numbers, and that's going to be coming out in next couple of days, so on Friday. And coming from a macro standpoint, there isn't really any data points that's influencing Chinese stocks today. We do have some big manufacturing data both coming out Wednesday evening and also Thursday evening, but that's not really impacting today exactly. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. As far as some unofficial things that did come out, you have this right here. So I think generally, as I've mentioned, the L90, there's a lot of high expectations for that. And as you can kind of see, there is over 10,000 units prepared for the July 31st launch. And this is one thing that I really don't like about NIO. And they kind of do this to themselves, but it does look like William mentioned that in the first month, deliveries could top 7,000. So again, throwing that benchmark out there. So even if it comes in, let's say at 6,000, 5,000, then that's going to be seen as a miss. So I think just NIO really needs to learn to not give all these targets. I know it might be very exciting, like seeing a lot of hype with L90. So you want to say, hey, we're going to do this, but generally, if NIO does miss on these milestones, the market's going to take it as a negative. So that's just my honest opinion on that. But nonetheless, let me know your general thoughts if you think 7,000 is feasible. If, let's say, there is that sufficient amount of demand, people are waiting up until 2 a.m. to actually do test drives, and they do have 10,000 units prepared, then yeah, possibly 7,000 could be done, deliveries in 1 month. But again, it's still setting that milestone type of thing. But aside from that, though, this is pretty much the only thing that really came out that is kind of worthwhile to bring up. Aside from that, though, like I mentioned, roughly around 10-11 million shares have been traded so far. Of that, 5.79 is linked to shorts. So this morning, shorts are increasing 5.79 million shares. And as I've mentioned, I know it gets annoying for me to constantly say this, but even when I first started covering NIO, shorts dictate what happens. And I think in general, a lot of institutions are very hesitant to get into NIO. So when times are rough and it starts to pull back, institutions just say, hey, I'm not touching this. But when things start heating up, like that's where FOMO really kicks in. But right now, shorts are increasing 5.79 million shares, 11.69% of the free float's being shorted. Works out to be 180 million shares overall are being shorted. And as I've mentioned, shorts are really starting to kind of break their trend. So for a while, they were really returning, going from about 13-14% short interest to a low of 10.87. So it's kind of bouncing off of that from this yellow line right here. So let me know your general thoughts on that. These are all the transactions occurring on the Darkpool. So again, this kind of paints a picture just to go to show that institutions aren't really lining up to buy NIO. And so maybe that could change with their monthly numbers coming out in the next couple of trading days. But I think just generally there is a surge of fear now in the broader market. So I think a lot of speculative stocks just aren't really getting the attention that they kind of deserve. At the same time, I think just on a larger scale across a broader market, just there is very low volume occurring. So again, it's not really against NIO exactly, it's kind of occurring across the board. So I think just big money is waiting for good data to justify to get back into the market. So let me know your viewpoint on that. As I've brought up in the past, though, even looking at like what big money is doing, looking right over here, last Thursday, this was issued. So as of July the 24th, there was a increase of $9.18 billion. So it looks like there was starting to have a lot more fear, and I guess rightfully so, based on yesterday and so far today. But $9.18 billion did leave the crypto and equity markets to go back into money markets. So right now there is $7.07 trillion sitting in money markets, and they're just waiting for the kind of thumbs up from the data points to justify to get back in. And potentially today we have Powell that might justify some potential rate cut optimism for September. So that's one thing that just to keep in mind. And algos are really obviously moving NIO, because if shorts are taking up half of the volume for the most part, the other half is linked to algos. Roughly, give or take. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Aside from that, looking at the options, 1.15 million in calls, 542,000 in puts. So kind of lower volume, similar to the common stock. 45% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. So that's definitely good to see. Very welcoming. Of the bulls, you see a consensus still for it to be above $5. So a nice recovery. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 450. So let me know your general thoughts on that. With it right now though, at 456, it is trading between this S1 and this S2, so 440 is going to be a strong support. I don't see that being touched today, possibly with the monthly numbers if they don't come in line with expectations. So ultimately just kind of take note of that. And then the following one is 411. Flip side, 458, and then 486 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. So 458 for today at least will be that key point that you really want to watch for it to get above. Aside from all that fun stuff, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings with their monthly numbers. I anticipate maybe 1 or 2 because of that, but hopefully, again, NIO does do fairly well and makes analysts a little bit more bullish, because as currently the consensus over the last 3 months, $4.50, which does represent a 1.64% downside. No news really coming out associated to anything, so it's just speculation at this stage in the game. On the actual chart itself though, so we are seeing a certain level of consolidation. 431 is that 200-day moving average. So aside from what I brought up for the fib levels, just watch for 431 in the obviously next little bit, just to be a diamond support. And of course, this is why I do feel shorts are really trying to hit NIO, kill it on a technical standpoint, as what they have done in the past. So their target is that 200-day moving average. So once that does hit, then it'll just be kind of easy sentiment killer kind of vibes, just to bring it back down to that 100 or potentially even that 50-day moving average. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Are you buying? Are you selling? Do you think that their monthly numbers, which are going to be coming out on Friday, are going to be good? Or do you think that there is another good surprise catalyst? Do you think that they're going to be kind of doing some actual PR for the L90 for the big launch? Like, what's your kind of 2 cents on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Discord. It is completely free. A lot of good people talking about stocks, options, crypto, everything that you ever need in life. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.